What up, everyone? Welcome to the Tears in Amsterdam conversation, the third in a bunch of conversations with me, Mikesh, my boy Jack. How's it going? How's it going?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. I'm just,
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you noticed, and we'll probably find this out after when I upload it to YouTube. Yeah, but right as you jumped in to speak, under the desk, I went like that.
Because you guys synced up your audio as well. I like it. I like it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Dedication.
yeah. I'm all right, man. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, yeah, all good, man. It's to break the fourth wall already. It is a wonderful Friday that we're recording this. So,
Yeah.
Friday's always put me in a good mood. So I'm in a good place, mate. I'm in a good place. I'm in a
And how has your time off so far been?
Been good, you know. The stresses of work no longer exist in my mind. I went to go watch Spider-Man on the day it came out, and it was so good. And I won't spoil
Really,
anything.
really good.
Yeah, yeah, it was sick.
Well,
That,
here's one for you. Me and Alicia haven't seen any of the new Spider-Mans, and apparently they're good. They're all good, right?
they're good.
So
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you
yeah.
think so on occasion at the end of the year we do like a movie thing where we pick one series and we'll like watch all of them. So we did like X-Men, the Marvel ones, Harry
Hmm.
Potter. Sort of, do you think that Spider-Man's a good shout? Bear in mind we have a limited amount of time left.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, I
Just the
do.
new ones, I mean. Just the new
Yeah,
ones.
yeah, yeah. I
Because
do.
we enjoyed.
That I want to say they're ultimately linked. Like obviously they are. There's like a continual story-ish, but the first two definitely kind of feel like they could sit by themselves anyway. So
Yeah,
definitely, I'd watch this trilogy. I'd say
cool. Yeah,
because
because I
the
wanted
last
to
film was
watch
worth
them.
it. The last film was worth it.
Is that
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
good?
yeah, 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 yeah. I was
Cool.
in the cinema just like that moment where you're just like actually in the present and you realize like how happy this is making you. I'm
Yeah.
like, so I felt very childish in the moment, but I was just sat like because we sat front row because I don't like having people in front of me just because like it allows me just to focus on the screen and the film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and there was a moment like just in the first like 5-10 minutes of the film, it wasn't even about what was on the screen. It was just like I realized where I was, and I was like,
Mm.
oh, I've been waiting for this moment, and I'm actually here enjoying this. It was a cool feeling. It was something I haven't felt in a while. It was dope.
Cinema can do that to you, can't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I think you forget that as well when you haven't been there for a while, because it is. But because me and you maybe aren't the most like, if we can watch a film at home, yeah, the chances are you're gonna. I think most people
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, yeah.
But like when you do go to the cinema, you get that moment where it's like all of a sudden, like, whoa, I'm really like in this.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
I'm engaged in the film, and but but yeah, man. Okay, I'm excited then. I'm quite excited to watch them now. We probably won't get to see it in cinema because they'll probably all be closed by the time we get to it at this rate, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we'll see. Because I mean, the world is in a state of flux, so the country's in a state of flux. So hopefully, you get to see it in cinema. Yeah? It was definitely a cinema worthy film. You know how sometimes you're just like, oh, this is just ending a trilogy, and it doesn't deserve that kind of experience. But I felt like this did.
Mm.
The fact
I
that everyone in the cinema at the time reacted the same way to the same things as they happened, it
yeah.
was a it was a cool moment. It was a cool moment.
How nice is it when everyone in the cinema laughs at one like at the same
Yeah,
joke? Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
goofy thing is we know this from experience. Everyone knows this that when you're with a mate, like you laugh at shit you would not laugh at
yeah,
home, like because
yeah, yeah.
you things like you ad lib it, Like I just remember being younger and just like constantly whispering each other's ears stuff as you're watching film. It's like, oh yeah, that's what she said,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're basically
but
trying to make in jokes of like an outer joke, I guess. So,
yeah. That's really cool, man. That you actually made me kind of excited to go back to the cinema in general because I miss it so much. Like just that, it's the community thing, isn't it? It's the same as watching live music. Like, but yeah, man, sick. Well,
yeah, yeah.
so what else have you been up to? What you been doing today?
Uh, what I've been today has just been chilling. I've literally played FIFA for the sake of getting those icon swaps.
Oh,
And boy, I forgot what a grind it is. Playing six squad battle games back to back. You forget like how much effort it takes. Not even just like it's not a difficult game to play, obviously, but it's just like I sat there by the fourth game. I was like, what am I actually doing with my time here? Not that I'd be doing anything better, but just like, what am I doing with my time? So that's what I've been doing today. Yesterday, I completed my task for our challenge set in the last conversation. I did that yesterday, and I'm very excited to show you that, which I'll show you in a minute or so. But yeah, that has been my day. What have you been up to today? What kind of
Well,
fun?
just on the FIFA thing, right? When
Mm-hmm.
like every now and then I nearly give in to being like asking someone to get me it for Christmas or something or buying
Yeah,
it. And then I remember like in my head, I'm part of me goes, FIFA's fun. Like you can play FIFA, it's fine. Like just play with
yeah,
Mikesh, and then that bit's yeah, it's addictive, but you're friends and you're having fun
yeah. It's
together and stuff like
community.
that. It's a
Yeah,
laugh, whatever. And then another part of my head goes, no, Jack, remember they made you play like 30 games to get Cucurella, and you're just playing against people where they just like either ripping you to
yeah,
shreds,
yeah.
yeah, or they just quit. And then when you obviously you have those moments where people are just scoring own goals, and you just know there's a bunch of people there with their controllers like just like
Yeah,
oh
it's still peak now. They've dropped most of those objectives to like 10, 12, or 15 games. Um, but the worst is like when you've done say 3 out of 4 of those objectives, and all you need to do is just score a goal, score a singular goal, or just make an appearance basically. And then you're
yeah
just sat there for like 90 minutes hoping the other guy just leaves. Like, and
yeah.
when they don't, you're just like letting them score 8-0 and they're celebrating every goal, bro. It's just like, bro, we're both here just for one goal. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that, man, is that must like butcher their sort of their performance indicators in terms of like the company. Because the whole point of that is that the more game time, the better it looks for them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, people are playing it for this long. But people aren't actually playing. So surely that must create all sorts of like I don't know, like all sorts of not ambiguities, but irregularities in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
their data. Like, oh, how much are people playing FIFA? And it's like, well, are they playing it? And maybe that's why FIFA barely ever changed the game because they're like, well, we don't change what's not broken. When in
And it,
reality, they're just addicting people.
it also it's probably just a case of they don't need to get to the quality like data points because the quantity data points are there. Do you know what I mean? They've got like millions of people playing this game, even if it's for 6 seconds in game. Do you know what I mean? Like it's I guess it doesn't matter for them because they have that quantity behind it.
You know what's really funny, man, is like so recently I've been like a little bit addicted to a host of mobile games, and it just has me thinking like if I can get addicted to like what was I playing today? Someone created like someone I went on the cricket thread on Reddit, right, just to see any reaction to the Ashes today, whatever. And someone said, "Oh, I've created a game. I'm a big cricket fan, whatever." And I think it's like a remake of an old mini clip game where it's not stick cricket, but you're sort of like you're standing there with the bat and balls come flying in. You have to hit them, and like there's 6 there and there's 0 there, whatever. And there's one mode where there's seagulls in the air, and you have to hit as many seagulls as
Nice.
possible. And it's like these games are so simple and so dumb, but just all you need to do is put a high score at the bottom, and I will be there for like because I'm just so competitive
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
want to beat myself. And I'm like 10 minutes ago, Jack needs to get his ass whooped.
yeah. I need to show improvement. I need to get. Yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Why do you think that is though? Because I get it obviously goes back to like last conversation where we were talking about just having that motivation to do better, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah. They trick you, man. They trick every single company in every single mode of life is just tricking you by being like, this will make you a little bit better.
yeah,
And you're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
iPhone, yeah,
yeah,
Google Pixel, say, yeah, give me it, give me
yeah,
it.
yeah. Because you can see the
And
numbers
then
go up as well. You're like, oh, I'm actually improving, even if it's.
yeah. And it turns you off the hard stuff as well. Like I could get the same feeling from coding, but it would take just a little bit more work. Whereas I can
Yeah,
just watch an ad and then get another 3 goes.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
the only thing I thought it today was that every 3 goes on this game, an ad came up, and I at least thought, well, this is just some guy that's recreated a game. He said, "Oh, can you please support me because it was my passion and stuff to make games and stuff." So I knew that each ad he was getting some money in his pocket. That's not why I kept playing, but let's pretend it is. I was being charitable.
Yeah. Whatever makes you sleep at night, innit, bro? I don't judge you.
It doesn't, bro. At night, it's in my head, like overplaying how I'm going to hit the next shot.
You're like, oh, I've actually conquered this pattern. Like, let me try it.
Oh,
No,
that's
stop
jokes
that.
now.
But yeah, games will have
Yeah,
that ability on you for sure. For sure.
yeah.
Just the idea of like instead of counting sheep, you're just counting dead seagulls is very funny to me. Like, or like maybe then they might not be dead; they might just be injured. Sorry, I don't
No,
mean
I
to
think
offend.
they're dead, bro.
Oh, you got that power, yeah. You got that kind of power.
And I realized halfway through that you didn't just kill them by hitting the ball at them, but you could also actually directly hit them with the bat.
Wow.
Have you had it where you've been lying in bed and you've been playing a game so much that when you close your eyes, the game is just like on your eyelids?
Yeah, San Andreas back in the day when this was like way after it came out, and I was like slightly older, and I actually completed. I was like spending a lot of time trying to complete the story properly, and that night I went to sleep and just kept dreaming about it and just kept seeing it in my eyes, like, oh, why can't I beat this mission? You're like you're basically having an out of body experience within the game where you're like, oh, I can see fresh perspectives. I know how to beat this. Yeah, it's fucking jokes. But yeah,
Oh,
that would happen all the time.
if only we could get that addicted to life, addicted to like work and not work, but like, our creative pursuits and stuff.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a good segue
It
into
was lovely.
the project that you've been working on briefly over the past couple of days.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be. I'm gonna undersell it very quickly just because that's what I need to do for how much effort I put into this. Just to remind the listeners, I guess, and for ourselves, the challenge at hand was to go through your notes or past pieces of writing or whatever, and kind of build something creative, fresh, like a fresh creative aspect to that word, or just kind of flesh out an old idea. So I will share my screen in a second, and as I share my screen, I will give you an idea about where it came from. So on one of my notes, I saw one line of text,
Oh
and
no, there I am.
I saw one line of text, and I saw an image, and it kind of I tried to remind myself about why I had written that and what the image kind of represented. So hopefully you can see this Genius verified
So is this the
presentation.
original thing? Or
The
is
Genius verified
this something new?
Genius. Oh, this is the original line, but kind of told through the lens of the time it was written more than the present time, if that makes sense. So can you see this screen? I'm looking. I'm showing. Nice. So Genius verified because rap genius. I am a poet, so poet genius, whatever you want to say. The line at the time was "It's time to reincarnate a bitch," and the image was me on.
Pomegranate seeds.
No. It's prayer beads. They were brand new prayer beads that I bought on that day. I went down to Melton Road myself. I literally got off a coach to Leicester on the day, walked down to Melton Road, bought the prayer beads myself because I can't remember what happened to the old ones, but I needed new ones. Let me give some context to what you're about to see as well, because the phrase "it's time to reincarnate a bitch" and this time period around summer of 2019, it was very dark for me. It was like very dark days and dark summer, I guess, just mentally battling a lot with myself. So what you're about to see and hear is based on that timing, because I figured there's a reason why all this kind of was written at the time. So let me try and enter that kind of mindset and frame it that way. So you will get a little performance, which should be good if I can remember the flow. So the poem I wrote based on that one line is as follows. It goes, looking through the lens to an old life, oh my, every day seemed to be go time, no fright. Welcome to what's now called the summer of suicide. Again, dark. Where the dark nights brought dark fires and my mind was quite kind in killing moments in the pipeline. Ah, where it became overthinking to overthought, like I was the overthinking and those dreams were never caught. Until I switched up the energy, came home from what was the end of me. where I was shown love, hand over fist, and all, and I left with a prayer and a wish. It was time to reincarnate a bitch. Now, that's the poem I wrote based on that line. Again, trying to encapsulate the timing. And as you may have seen in like Genius videos on YouTube, they give you like a little breakdown. So obviously, just imagine I'm talking on this right hand side, but let me give you a breakdown, verse by verse, line by line. Looking through the lens to an old life. Oh my, that's me literally in my present day, reminding myself of what that time period was like for me. Every day seemed to be go time, no fright in terms of I would attempt to push myself to find the energy on a daily basis of going out every night, drinking, whether it be going to work unhappy, not because of the work made me unhappy, just myself and the mental health struggles I was going through at the time, I guess. There was no fright, so I tried to keep a happy face. I tried to just keep pushing through, not be scared of what was actually going on, I guess. And welcome to what's now called the summer of suicide, as in it was like the entire summer was just filled with this kind of mental battle, I guess. You feel free to stop me at any time, but I'll carry on.
No, keep going, man. Keep going.
Where the dark nights brought dark vibes and my mind was quite kind and killing moments in the pipeline, basically saying that as anybody who's suffered any type of depression knows, the nights are obviously the worst. And I would, during that summer, be going out all the time, drinking and doing things I shouldn't be doing on a regular basis anyway. And obviously, bringing the dark vibes to myself, I was kind of causing that for myself, and my mind was kind enough to kind of kill happy moments that were coming towards me because I was so out of it in terms of I was there physically, but mentally I was in another world. Nothing was truly making me happy, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
Ah, the was kind of put in just as like a breather to kind of just step into the next kind of phase, if that makes sense. Just kind of like show you like a timeline thing. So the first one is like expressing where I was, then now it's where it became overthinking to overthought. Everything I did, I was overthinking, as you can imagine. And then when the events had actually taken place, they were definitely overthought, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And then obviously that the fourth line on this, like I was the overthinking, just a bit of wordplay because can't make it fun, I guess. And those dreams were never caught in terms of I was chasing things that didn't quite exist, and therefore they were never caught. Quite straightforward until I switched up the energy. Came home from what was the end for me. Sorry. So when I came to Leicester to try and just spend time with loved ones, because in reality they were what I needed, and they could help me so much more than they probably ever know. Like I needed new belief for myself, therefore I got new prayer beads, which is where the picture was, where the picture came from. Hand over fist, left with a prayer and a wish. Just it was time to reincarnate a bitch. So yeah, again took the line and kind of put myself back into that mode and mind. If I stop sharing, and you can see me now. Yeah.
Yay.
Nice.
Pardon me. Oh, I love that, man. That was really nice.
Nice.
Sorry, like when you're reading it as well, obviously, even though it was like a dark poem, like I was there like smiling, and then I was like, oh, this looks weird that I'm like smiling, but it's because I was enjoying the creativity, you know.
Nice.
I really like I don't know how much you've been writing in terms of like poetry since that period where you were really writing, but like there's a development there from what you were writing, because back then it was kind of short, snappy, like boom, boom, boom. Whereas now there's like real depth to that. Like I really like that, man. And I loved that like you kind of, even though obviously it's a dark reflection, I loved the overthinking. Like I couldn't help but giggle at that because I know for a fact you're like, oh, should I keep it like serious or should I just throw in a
Let me just throw that little. It had to be done. It had to be done.
Oh.
To go straight into it, I haven't been writing at all. It was because of the challenge. I was like, let me just pick up that pen again and figure out this story that I want to tell, because I couldn't, because what I wanted, I didn't know whether to start my entire kind of story based on that line that I found, or end it that way, because I like it being a prelude. I kind of thought of it as if I do it if I make that line the end, it becomes the prelude story, and then like everything changed after that. Do you know what I mean? Instead of
No, I
telling the
like it at
current
the end.
story. But yeah,
I like it at the end.
and
Definitely.
more importantly, more than the spoken word, yeah. Tell me you understood the genius reference. Like you've seen those videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah.
That was like the main thing I wanted to
Yeah.
get across.
Yeah. So I think anyone that watches it as well will understand that, because I think it does mostly come up, doesn't it, if you're looking at your phone? And it is really nice. It is like a nice, because like actually sometimes we talked about a couple of weeks ago where sometimes it's good to like leave the mystique kind of hidden, but actually like it is nice knowing what someone was thinking, especially with some certain types of rappers, for example. Their lines sound good, but you don't really understand the reference. Then you read the
Yeah,
reference, and all of a sudden you're like, "Yo, that's even
yeah,
better
yeah,
than I
yeah,
thought it was."
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man, I like it. I like it.
Nice. Yeah. No, I'm glad you kind of set that challenge, because it got me actually thinking. I had written the spoken word like the night that we set the challenge,
Oh,
and
wicked.
then just put that presentation together yesterday. But I was gassed because I was like, all right, this it gave me a chance for reflection, which I think is the key part of this entire challenge. Like, because that someone was dark, like it was horrid looking back, but obviously I came out of it. Do you know what I mean? So it was a
Yeah.
good moment of reflection for sure.
And you can't look at things the way they are when you're in them at all, can you?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
you cannot process that shit. Like it's like whenever anyone tries to give you any advice when you're in those places, you're just there like that means nothing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, I think that's maybe an unintended positive from going
yeah, yeah,
back. You know what's also nice? I think I talked about this before last time we talked about it, but is realizing as well when you've lost faith in yourself and your creativity, realizing by looking back that you are creative and you can make good shit. And the less you do it, the more and more, like it's me right now, and I'm sure where you have been as well, is that you lose faith in the fact that you have ability in any of this
yeah,
shit,
yeah.
you know? Um,
Something
and
meaningful to say as well, which is another part of the art space, I guess, as well. Because you
mm,
don't just want to say or put something out in the world that doesn't mean anything, even if it's just doesn't mean anything to yourself. You kind of just want. I think you should always give that meaning.
mm, mm. I actually think as well that might be one of my favorite poems that you've written. Like,
Nice. I
seriously,
like it. I like that.
I think because I like the softer side, you know. I like the vulnerability and stuff, and obviously, like I remember during that time, from a personal point of view, if you don't mind me talking about it, it's hard for me to place times directly
Mm-hmm.
because I can't.
Sorry,
But
alcohol.
I remember at the time when it sort of I got the impression that you were doing that you were kind of like covering over the cracks a bit. And sometimes it was confusing because it seemed like you were having a really good time because do you know what I mean? It was hard to
Yeah,
read. And it's very hard in that situation to go to someone that looks like they're having a good time. Like, are you okay? Because you seem like maybe this is, and that, because that seems very bold of you to do. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And also it can come across as jealousy because I think at the time I was like, "Yo, Mika's having fun like every
yeah,
night," but
yeah,
then
yeah,
deep down I was like, "But that might be something else," because I know that I don't. I think we probably deal or have dealt in things like that in different ways. I'm like a in the dark corner, like
yeah.
no messages, like. But yeah, man, I think a lot of people do sort of like. I think I know a lot of people that want to get out of their head as much
Yeah,
as
yeah,
possible.
yeah. It was
But
escapism. It was escapism. That's what I kind of lent on, and the idea of being alone in my flat in the evenings kind of scared me, which is probably part of the reason I was out all the time and finding something to do, even if it was just a long walk or some random shit, just stay outside, basically.
yeah, yeah.
But no,
But
it was cool.
you also had a really creative like time, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
that's that whole thing that we've talked about, like. And even now, you're still feeding off that time for creativity. Like you still have it is a source of art for you, which is
Yeah.
it's such a conflicting like thing, isn't it, man? But no, well done for getting it straight in as well. And it was brave of you to perform it, and I guess that's partly because it's just me and you, technically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Don't worry, that was definitely a thought, and but it kind of moving away from that. It was always been an idea of mine to kind of put these into actual spoken word pieces because I have hundreds of these. Like you know how part of the challenge was like find a note that doesn't have anything attached. Like literally, it was a struggle just to find a one liner because I most of my notes have like kind of thought out poems already, which is a good thing, of course. But there was like a moment where I was like, fuck, I just want to find something that I can like build off of that doesn't exist yet. Um, so yeah, the idea has always been to turn them into spoken word, which is why the Insta stories used to exist. But again, breaking the fourth wall, the idea of me speaking every morning, like, oh, drink your water, chase angels, or show love, whatever, was me trying to get comfortable enough to kind of do spoken word on my Instagram in some form. So obviously, it never came to fruition, but I appreciate the challenge, is what I'm trying to say.
no, that's cool, man. We're going to do it again, and I still need to come up with mine for like. I'll probably do it on the next conversation that we have, whatever it will be. I mean, to be honest with you, I did have the same feeling as you after we talked about it to kind of go and do it straight away. But I've been having a real problem with like conversion at the moment, where I'm just cutting myself in half before I make
You
stuff.
that's just very quickly. You need to move slightly to your right because you're on my screen. You're cutting off.
Oh,
There you
really?
go. Yeah. There you go.
Oh shit! You know what? It's because like you can't tell. What did we usually get the view of us next to each other?
I put myself in the view of us next to each other,
Yeah,
so
because
you're
I
slowly
can't.
leaning off, basically.
That's so frustrating, man. Because obviously, because it's a widescreen thing, I look like I'm like bang in the middle, and
Yeah.
like my hands should be shown, but I'm guessing my hands aren't even on the
No,
screen.
not in this view. It might be in the recording, but just in
Okay,
case,
so
just
I
in
should
case.
probably not put my middle finger up like on both hands, as you know.
You can do. Fuck it. It's our program. Sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on. Carry on.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, like I'm. Tell me.
Yeah. You're fine. Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I had the bloody view. I keep cutting myself off before I get to the creation, and I just like come up with the idea, and then like, yeah, that's a great idea, and then don't do it, and then just
Nice.
doubt.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, man. But I'll get there because this will force me to do it, and I'll have a bit of a deadline. What it will be, I don't know. I can't promise it that it's going to be
Just
like
just
as
take the challenge.
smooth.
Just take the challenge, bro. Just find a note, even if it is that yeast one. That's fine.
I'm going with. I
Yeah.
think I'm moving on yeast.
There you go.
But
Then
you
move
might
with
you might
yeast,
get
bro.
sent a
Grow with it.
sample in the post that you'll have to sniff, like a scratch and sniff challenge.
Nice. Gonna send me a recipe
Just
to bake my own shit. Love it. I'll create my own poem. That's part. Oh, that's part of your like artwork, isn't it? You're giving everyone yeast to kind of grow their own bread. I see what you did there, man.
send you a
Smart.
sourdough starter.
Yeah.
So, Mikesh, have you made the bread from the sourdough starter that I sent you today?
That's the
Oh.
challenge. Love it. Turn a challenge into a challenge.
But what's so cool, man, is that you really can just pick any stimulus whatsoever and create from it. And I think that's probably what we should like try and go for with this is that it doesn't even have to be something of your own. It can be, and I really like that you could find something in the street. I remember there was a guy that used to find dog poos and put like mini figurines next to them,
Nice.
make them look like they were like just like I don't know, like buildings and things like
Yeah.
man. I would tell you that at Alicia's work, right? She works at the hospital around the corner, and at Alicia's work, she went in one day, and there's been a poo like next to her building, which is like a porter cabin. There's
Hmm.
been a poo there for ages, and no one had moved it. And she goes in one day, and someone put a digestive biscuit in the poo to press that shit. And it's stuck there for like weeks.
Jesus.
Just a digestive biscuit, man. That's wow. I
Nice, a
love that.
digestive biscuit in an undigested piece of art. Love that. Oh no, it would have been digested. Forget it. I'm not good at science. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, man. Thank you for like doing that, and thank you for, like I said, being brave enough to perform it, because it's not easy. Like you could have got really nervous and like,
I tell you why why it helped me doing it on this, because all I could see was the words, and
uh,
it
uh,
happens when I present at work as well. Yeah, if I've only got the one screen, I can't see the people I'm presenting to, so it makes it so much easier because all I see
uh,
is the actual work I'm talking about. I just hear them, so that's what helped me. I'll give you the trade secrets.
that's
Basically,
really
just
cool.
don't look at the people that you're presenting
What
to.
I, what I also want to know is if, like, two things. Was I just there next to it nodding?
No, I couldn't see you at all
Did
on
you
my
think
screen.
I will be on the recording, or
You
I mean,
should
as
be.
a little bit
You
of
should be.
meta? So I will. Okay, so I might conveniently just like
We
make
should be on the
me.
bottom. We should be on the bottom again.
Oh, that'll be way better. Yeah, that's much better, because I don't want to be there just nodding and like smiling while you're talking about this and stuff. Like, and then like as soon as you did the thinking, I let out a little giggle. Uh, oh,
No,
that
it's all good.
did you enjoy it?
Did I enjoy it? Yeah, 100%. It was jokes. I, did I enjoy it? Yes. I enjoyed trying to challenge myself to get away from the 8 lines, because you know how you made the joke of, oh, it's only what are you gonna do, because it might only be 4 lines, and I was like, no, mine's gonna be 8, and I was like, actually, let me just try and actually tell more than 8 lines, tell an actual story, try and figure out like the breaks in it and everything. That was always my favorite part of that stuff, trying to figure out the wordplay to tell the story, which I guess is what every poet kind of enjoys the most. Do you know what I mean? And then I enjoyed making the presentation yesterday. It was the first time I've actually done like a slide deck on my iPad, and fuck me, it was I need a keyboard and mouse to do that shit quicker. Um, but yeah, it was good. It was good,
Oh,
and I
brilliant!
can't wait to see yours now.
Oh, yeah. Mine's going to be an essay. Mine's going to be an essay. I'm going to be like, right, I'm now reading my essay.
Nice, and I'll just have to sit there like pop quiz at the end on that.
Yeah, yeah. Now for a quiz, Mikesh. Oh God, brilliant. Well, do you want me? What about another? Because now that you've already done it, like, do
No,
you
no,
want
no, no,
another?
no, no.
No,
Not
you
until you've
gotta
done
wait.
yours. Then we both
Oh,
get the same challenge at the same time, and
oh,
then
I've got a
uh-uh.
good piece of stimulus for you.
You can tell me and I can percolate it.
Okay, all right. No, I could say this. All right, I'll offer it out there, and you say whether you think it could be a good one, and then we could pick it for
Okay.
the next thing. So
Nice.
I was thinking like something that one of your family members says to you, like a sentence that they say to you, and you can't say something good to me, but you just they say something, and you kind of catch it, and you go, "That's actually just." Do you know what I'm saying?
You're gonna have to keep explaining until I get it.
So basically, something that they say in conversation, so almost like verbatim, you could take that sentence and keep it in, let's say a poem or
Right.
whatever you want to make,
Right.
or you could turn that sentence into a piece of art. You could. Have you seen this new the AI where you type in like a sentence and it creates a piece of art? Like what it's called Wombo. I think it's called Wombo.ai or something. It's
I'll check
powered
that
by
out.
GPT-3. Like you could just type it in there and create the art from it. But yeah,
Okay.
uh,
Uh,
just think about it. You
yeah,
can,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're ahead of the curve, you can kind of pay attention over the next couple of days and see how feasible it seems. See whether, um, but I can't
Yeah,
wait for that Harry inspired poem.
Go grab me a beer.
He has to
That's
perform it though.
that's oh, that's fine. Like I said, I won't be able to see you in it. It's fine. Basically, most of I won't say most in the evening times. So some of my conversation with my dad are basically we argue about who's going to get the other person a beer. That's mainly the conversations. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll figure out. But yeah,
Who
I'll listen
usually
more.
loses? Who
Me,
compromises in the end?
me,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
have to, I guess. It's more with the whiskey pouring on a Saturday night that I kind of get my dad to be like, all right, go on and pour it, and then he'll pour like the maddest shot. And like the glass is like only so big, and then the shot is just nuts. So, and he'll stick to
Ha-
beers as well. What a smart dude! Like I'm just there drinking whiskey by myself, just getting fucked.
and
And
does
then
he encourage you to go on the whiskey?
no, I encourage myself, but then he won't
Yeah.
like see, he won't slow me down, and he'll be like, "Oh, come on, I'm getting a beer. You may as well just." And then boom, I'm fucked after like 3 shots because they're massive. But it's a good time, so that I can't complain. Like I'm drinking
Yeah.
with my pops. Like I'm happy.
What whiskey are you on at the moment?
Just usually Jack Daniels because it's just so easy to like
Smooth.
replace. 'Cause
Not that cinnamon Jack Daniels liquor that we got.
oh
I
man,
still feel sick thinking about that.
yeah, me too, man. Because we got two of the sweetest. Wasn't the other one like the apple one or something, or honey?
Oh,
It
the
was honey
honey
and the
one.
cinnamon. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck, they were peak, man. That was a good time though. It was a lot to drink,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But was this in it? Because obviously the apple one that you're talking about is like it's called Winter Warmer or something, and it is like it's almost like Jack Daniels with juice, right? And
yeah,
it's tasty. But the cinnamon one, I think, was just like almost like half the percentage, but really sweet and like sticky and like,
yeah.
man, that,
It was
that
a
was
lot.
mess.
It was a
Yeah.
lot. It was a
Whereas the
lot.
honey one is nice. The honey one goes really well with ice and that.
But the problem was that I think we had the cinnamon one first. So like by the time we were halfway through the honey one, we were just done. We should have got like an actual just regular and then a flavor, like
Do you
especially with
remember?
the intention of going in to drink most of it. Like
Do you remember? And I don't know which one of my flats or houses, whatever this was at. Do you remember the whiskey in the coffee that ended up tasting like bread? We put whiskey in coffee. Yeah. We
oh
just
that yes, that was
no, it wasn't coffee. It was that barley malt thing. It was like the fake coffee. You
okay. I
must
don't remember
remember
what that
that
was.
shit.
I think I roughly remember. I think it was in where that place around the corner from your parents was.
Yeah,
I feel like it was there.
yeah. Yeah, so it was like it was, I'd bought a coffee replacement, which was like a guarana mixed with barley. Yeah. And we put that because I had no coffee. We had that and we put whiskey in it and it tasted like drinking bread, mate. Disgusting.
Because we can't get
It
enough
was
of
the
yeast.
worst.
Yeah.
And we had like three of them.
To be fair, we were just trying to find something to drink the whiskey with,
Yeah.
because we didn't buy a mixer, and I like mine with Coke sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I know what you mean.
oh man, we need it. We'll see how feasible it is, but maybe we'll do a whiskey night at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen over the next week or so. I mean, we're quite close to Christmas, right? What is it, 17th? We're 8 days
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
That's mad. I think it's. Do you think the Premier League is going to get like postponed for a while, like the whole thing?
No,
Oh,
no, I don't think they can. Because again, money talks in most of this shit. That's why they were playing last year with no fans, right? Because of the money, more than like finishing the season.
mm.
Um, there's no chance they'll just get rid of postpone games individually.
Each game at a time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the worst. Having no fans there was the worst, man. Like that. I feel like that had a major impact on how Liverpool played, like major,
Hmm.
and it's just so boring. You know what I mean? Like
Did
I
it allow you
remember.
to enjoy this season more when they came back? Like maybe
Yeah.
subconsciously, like.
Yes, because I'd already gone off football a bit, hadn't I? Like,
Hmm.
because we won the league, and then no, we won the Champions League, and I actually went off the season, the football when we won the league, which was a bit dead. Just because when you wait so long to win something, and then you win it, and then you're just like, now what? Like
Yeah.
every fan must get that, especially winning the Champions League, because it's like it is the pinnacle,
Hmm.
isn't it? It's I mean, World Cup is one thing, but I don't really care about the World Cup. I don't know about you. Would you
I get involved in the hype. I won't lie. Around the World Cup,
slowly
if
like
England are playing
yeah,
well, I'll get
affects
excited.
you?
Like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I get slightly like I'm definitely happy for everyone I know that supports England, and I do like the idea of the whole country being really happy. Like
Hmm.
that's a nice thought. A bit like when Leicester won the
Yeah.
league, being in Leicester was really nice because
I
you could
say
tell everyone was
yeah.
just buzzing off
I
it.
say that all the
Um,
time. I say that whenever somebody's like, "Oh, where are you from?" and I'm like, "Oh, Leicester." They're like, "Oh, so you support Leicester?" And I was like, "No, I support Arsenal, but I was here when they won the league, and it was so wonderful. I remember coming to that pub and just like seeing your dad like in tears because he was so happy. Like I wish
Yeah.
to experience that moment for myself one day where Arsenal win the Champions League and I just get to cry with happiness. Like that should have happened in my life.
That's what happened to me when after Istanbul, I was crying. I just stopped. I was a kid, so we finished it, and then I just lay on the floor crying. And I think after the Champions League, I was in a pub in Brighton, and I remember, and the problem is, this is why I don't really like watching football with other people, because people are there with their tops off and stuff, just on the stage, like dancing and trying to get attention. And I was just there, like, I want to soak up every last minute of what's on the screen. I don't really care about everyone else. But what do you think of? So I saw this stat the other day, right? And actually, Arsenal performing quite well. So you probably can answer this with a little bit more optimism. I saw a stat that was like Alexandre Lacazette has had fewer shots per minute, and then like listed like all of these players, and one of them was Jordan Henderson. Like I thought it was a wild stat, man. Do you think that's like a confidence thing or what?
He's been playing behind the striker for the most part.
Has he?
Yeah, so he's been he's been our creator when he's played there. Aubameyang's played in front of him for the most part, and like I said, doesn't really get in the box when Aubameyang's playing in front of him. Like
Yeah.
the game the other day, like I said, actually played as the number 9, so obviously he played higher up and he got a few more shots off. So that's
Yeah.
probably why. And he's been on the bench behind Erdegaard in that respect as well.
Yeah.
So
Who's your best finisher at the club? Would you say?
like I said,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
was thinking. Like, because like I mean, but is he pacey anymore?
Not anymore. No.
No.
But
Yeah, it makes sense.
it's one of those ones where you know how a player just gets more intelligent with their movement. Like you can definitely
Mhm.
see that with him, which is obviously a good thing. And I've said to you a million times, like I've always preferred Lacazette over Aubameyang anyway, just because
Me
of the
too.
wider range that he can give you, and like
Yeah.
he will actually finish some of these chances that a
Yeah.
clinical finisher should.
Yeah.
Um,
The
but
whole
yeah,
whole stuff with Aubameyang is a bit weird at the moment, isn't it? Like I think last time we spoke, you seemed to fall down on the side of being happy that he'd been stripped of the captaincy, right?
I wouldn't say happy. I'm more. I'm more. I care less. Sorry, I'll say like I care less that he's not our captain because I don't think he filled that role well
He ain't
enough
really a
anyway.
captain, is he?
Yeah, I've always thought Xhaka was the better captain. He just had to be stripped of it because of that incident. But Xhaka's still my favorite captain that we probably have in the club. Tierney is probably next in line, but it depends if he can keep injury free to really make
Yeah.
that impact.
The Xhaka incident, it was what did he do? He like threw the armband or something. Was it?
No, he was getting booed because he wasn't playing well. He got substituted and then he was just like riling up our fans because he was like, "Go on, then I'm listening, go on." And
I
then
like that, man. I
yeah,
wouldn't
shows
strip him of the
passion,
captaincy
bro.
for
It
that.
shows
Yeah, but
passion.
also, sometimes, man, fuck fans. Like most football fans are so like, yeah, just honestly, like you ever see your fans booing one of your players, and you're just like, well, what's the point? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's a human being, just the same as like I can't get behind seeing like the Newcastle fans at Anfield, like just there, like swearing at like the players and stuff, and it's just like,
Yeah.
come on, man,
Yeah.
just
And you
weird.
got to realize like what you're actually doing. Like it's a game. Like it's a sport. Like what are you're not the one playing. What are you talking about? You imagine
There's
somebody
no
coming.
awareness.
Imagine these people have an office job and somebody's just behind them, fucking booing them because they picked the wrong cell in a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Fuck do you
yeah,
mean, bro? Like grow
yeah,
up.
yeah. It is odd, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I remember I always fall back on this example of that Benoit Asuakoto. Like it sticks in my mind because it was the first time I really considered this was him saying like this is just a job for me. He was like, I don't really like football. This is
yeah,
just my
yeah, yeah,
job. There's a thing with Ben White, obviously. He doesn't watch
yeah,
football.
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I from one point of view, I kind of think, well, tactically, like you would probably benefit from watching some stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get it. Like, dude plays football all the time. What's he gonna do? Go home and watch football? Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
needs other stuff in his life. But,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
As a
man.
as a as a designer myself, I don't look at fresh UX UI designs out in the universe. Like I think
Mm,
I um I guess it is kind of different, but I feel like it tampers with what I kind of
Yeah,
expect to create for myself, if that
yeah.
makes sense. Like
Mm.
that's why
But
I don't like
also,
doing research, as dumb as that
yeah.
sounds as well. Like
No,
just
no, I get it, man. If it didn't influence you in a way that might lead to you making something really similar to someone else, it would give you the fear of doing that at least.
yeah,
So that's gonna put limits on your creativity, isn't it? Like
yeah,
I know, like just going on YouTube or going on like Twitter or something, the amount of stuff out there, it makes me feel like whatever I make, someone will have already made. And that's not a good place to be. It's like just
yeah,
fuck off
yeah.
and make it anyway.
It's
No
like
one made it
comparison
as
bias. Yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah.
But I like how that led from like football talk into like creative talk. It's really nice. But
That's what we're good at.
yeah.
We're good at talking about creativity. Just we need to do it more. I personally,
Yeah.
anyway. Do it more.
One, I guess, okay, question. We talked about this before once because I've always wanted to become more prolific. Sounds like a jump because like I'm not anything on Twitter, right? But more prolific on Twitter because I think if you want to be a creative force like on the internet, which I hope to one day be, that's like a dream of mine. You have to have one social platform that you dominate and you really go at. And I wonder what you think about this idea of. I'm always really hesitant, even though I have 24 followers, of tweeting about football and stuff, and tweeting about cricket, and tweeting about maybe things like that, because I have always worried that that maybe pigeonholes you, and it will turn people off because football Twitter is so like dead and horrible, man. But
Yeah,
then I do see people who have other thingies talk about football. Like there's like do you know who Richard Osman is? You know the TV show Pointless.
yes.
It's like the
Yeah,
host
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
And he talks about football, he talks about sports, and then you see other people. What do you think about that? Because part of me thinks you should be yourself as much as you can on social media, but then part of me also worries that you can put people off by. So you get people that have been really successful by being really channeled. This whole
yeah, yeah,
fucking walnut, you know, the whole thing of like focus or don't.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, people that are really successful because they just make that one type of video, the productivity video, or they tweet about productivity,
yeah, yeah.
or like, where do you stand on that, man? Because
I would, all chances go for that first opinion. I would try and be myself, and if I want to talk about one thing one day and another thing the next, or both in the same day, I would fucking go for it. Because more importantly, I think you're trying to build a core fan base for whatever you write about. Unless you're actually targeting, oh, I want to be a football journalist, or I want to be
Mhm.
a specific type of person in this world or writer in this world. I think you just gotta be yourself, man. Okay, unless you're going to create different accounts for everything, which is just long and
Long, yeah.
it doesn't seem to make sense. I think you could just be yourself, write about what you want, because I think uh, I don't know why I'm sticking with journalism for the time being, but I'm going to stick with it anyway. If you say I write an amazing article about wrestling, that skill is still transferable to like the NFL or sports. Do you know what I mean? They're just different like athletes in that. Do you know what I mean? So I think I think you just need to kind of build that skill and be yourself, bro. That's my,
Yeah.
that's what I would go for.
So two follow up points and one follow up question.
Hmm.
Like, so I guess, so on the two sides, there's good points on either side, and clearly it works different ways for different people.
Yeah.
I guess with making sure that if you pick something and you kind of like follow a rigid structure and you just tweet or talk about one thing, then I guess what can happen is that you get trapped, and then
Hmm.
when you get to a certain point you still have to talk about that, else you'll just start shedding followers, shedding
Yeah, yeah.
subscribers
Which totally makes
on
sense because they came to you for that reason.
for that reason. Yeah, but then on the flip side, what some people say is become a king first, then become a philosopher. So basically dominate one thingy, yeah, do it, and then afterwards you can start to give your opinion on everything else because you've become successful. Um, But that's, you don't need to reply to any of them unless you have an immediate response.
It reminded me instantly of the music world. You know how you always hear that an artist's second album is always the album they've always wanted to make, but the first album kind of got them in the door with the record label or whatever. It's like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's what I thought of straight away. That was all.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point, because it does happen, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You do get the money so that you can make the good album.
Yep.
It's so complicated. But then my follow up is the question of, will you ever enter the world of social media? Like, do you have any intention to in the future, given that it seems like it is a necessity for creating your own brand and your own business?
Yes, because I don't like to ever say never. I don't always like to say never, basically.
Never know.
Yeah, I do think I'll go back to it, but I want to do more personal work before I step back into that world.
Because once you're in there,
I mean more from less about knowing what I'm going to create or put out into the world, just more for myself to make sure I can build a life outside of social media without needing social media to validate me. Because my ego in the past has failed me miserably because of that, like staying in that world. So
everyone's does, well, it does mess you up. I remember thinking, like, how do you we like a defo kind of like asked you your opinion on this in the past, was how do you be in that world when you need to be in that world, and simultaneously manage to avoid all of the toxicity and all of the just seeing, like, I almost wish that you could tweet and just never see anyone else's tweets. That sounds really selfish, but then you're creating, but you're never impacted. But I do agree with that. And in some way, although it sounds slightly painful and it'd be very difficult to do this, I don't completely hate the idea that you'd get to 40, yeah, with no real success, but have built a proper base for yourself. And then at 40, all of a sudden you start, and you see that happen all the time.
Yeah. I think obviously everyone has their own way, but I think the people slightly younger than us are trying to get in early and in their own life, trying to get into that kind of social media world, even just tweeting all the time, whatever. But I think there is a real power to knowing who the fuck you are before you kind of step in that world as well. Just so that you can. It's gonna sound dumb when I say this, but just to remember that, like, it's not real life. Do you know what I mean? It's really not like. Again, this can sound slightly offensive to some people. I'm pretty sure about it, but I'm going to say it anyway. One of my favorite jokes that I've ever heard is, "How are you ever getting bullied online? Just switch that shit off." Like it's like not real life. Like I apologize if that offended anybody, but like it's just I think it's just sometimes you got to switch that shit off. Like it's not real.
Yeah, and I think to our generation, I 100% agree with you. I don't really see. I think maybe to, like, like young generations where it's like crack to them from day one. Then it's slightly different for them. But for us, man, you can, like, it is that, like, how you're reading these tweets, you can block all of these people. Like, it's like the whole thing of people follow people that they hate. Like, it's
just keep an eye on what they're doing. Like, it's very strange. But back to the idea of all of this. I think it's such a powerful tool, but you have to use it your way, regardless of success. In the sense that if you use it just as a promotional tool, then so be it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no right or wrong. Whether your
don't let it become who you are.
Your content will decide whether you get that followership in reality. As much as like people hang on to personalities and the content never really matters, they always start with some kind of content anyway. So I think that's, in the beginning anyway, that's what matters.
Yeah. There's a lot of empty content out there though. Just containers, like like just, and that we talked, that you said about younger people getting on Twitter straight away and they build up these like big audiences and they're giving life advice. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, listen, I've been consuming that shit for 10 years since I was 18, and I can tell you for a fact that is not how you become successful. It don't work for the ordinary person. You've got lucky by just tweeting out the this is how you do this and stuff, and you're 22. No, you don't know. That's how you did it, maybe, and it worked for you, luckily. But
Yeah.
just, it's frustrating that I find it really hard. I almost feel like I don't want life advice from anyone that ain't 70
Which makes
or
sense as well, man.
60, 50. Like,
Yeah. And the power of social media, and it's going to be a very unique, like very focused kind of response I give you, is the power of social media is that the NFT world. Every day on my Instagram page, I'll be scrolling, and I can see, oh, gain this, learn from this person about NFTs, learn from this person about NFTs. And the idea of social media isn't, it's not a learning tool anymore, it's a selling tool, right? Like, then the people, I feel like the people younger than us don't have that perspective yet. So they're following these people, they're buying the courses that might give them what they need, but for in reality they've just been sold a course. Do you know what I mean? And it's you see those billionaire entrepreneurship shits where you're like, if you sell to 77 people £25 a month, you can make this much money in a year. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of shit. That's what I think a lot of people need to remember, is that they are exactly that. They're selling tools. You're either selling yourself in terms of your ideals on Twitter. You're selling your content. You're selling your products on Instagram. You're selling your dance moves on TikTok or some shit. I don't know. But I think people need to remember that the power of social media is to sell. It's not.
yeah, yeah,
It's not for the content anymore.
yeah. And it's like the NFT thing. Like, get some money together, buy an NFT, make an NFT, sell an NFT. I don't know NFTs well enough to understand them, but like mint them or whatever. But you mint it. Oh
Yeah.
god, I like, if anyone ever watches this in the future, and I'm like, you can imagine I become like an NFT mogul or something, and they're just like, yo, check this dumbass out.
Yeah, he does
But
nothing. He's
seriously
done
though,
nothing.
yeah. But I would hope that, and that is often, that feels like my, what I want my identity to be in the social media space, is like, look, I'm an idiot that, like, sometimes things work for me. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah,
that's, if I ever have any success, I want people to realize I'm just a normal person that put one foot in front of the other, because that's all these people are. Elon Musk is a genius, right? But at the same time, he's just constantly putting one foot in front of the other.
yeah,
And it looks like, wow, he's this big businessman that owns three businesses. But on a daily thing, he just, slightly
yeah, yeah,
manipulates staff and stuff, but also just built one thing at a time, reversed engineered stuff, and just built it from the. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. But I think I definitely think that power is in your hands, like all of that, in terms of the person you put across or the person you want to be on these social media places. That's all in your hands, because until you start getting the sponsorships that kind of try and guide you in one way or another, at least for the beginning core um, fan base, they're gonna hopefully resonate with who the fuck you are, like, or what you're trying to put across anyway. Um, Again, I like using music as the analogy, but you think about our favorite rappers, like how we became part of their core fan base because they were practically themselves, or at least the person they were putting in front of us was, we felt like they were themselves. So I think there is a huge power in just being yourself, and also the who wants to just like fake shit? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know how tiring that is? I did it on my Instagram stories, bro. I
Yeah,
keep coming back
yeah,
to it, but like you end up just running yourself into the ground because you're trying to pretend to be someone. Like, it's fucking stupid.
yeah. It comes back to that whole thing, is you can't want what you don't want. And
Hmm.
that's why I stopped making polished YouTube videos. I couldn't be arsed with it, because I was there like with a script, and like I'd make a mistake and I'd be angry, and it's just like, this isn't fun. Like, who,
Yeah,
the people that can sit there and do that, they want something else more than they want to make help you. They want money so badly that
yeah,
they're willing to sit there every day and just chat shit
yeah. Hmm.
and be like, I always fall back on the same examples, but like the 2 minute rule for productivity, or like,
Yeah,
I learn. Yeah, this is like indirect, but like, here's how I learned Spanish in 36 hours, and it's like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
man,
I took a cold
don't.
shower for 30 days and then went back to
Yeah,
hot showers on but day 31. Like,
uh,
yeah, it's silly. It's I mean, I'm saying this on as a person who has tried to delve into those worlds and wasn't successful. But I do think there's a huge power in just fucking being yourself and just living your life and enjoying yourself. And
Yeah.
because that's what, in reality, people are happy to see people win. It's as long as it's authentic to that person. I feel like people are happy to see that person win. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. And not only that, but you cannot. I just don't think that you can get what you want by following someone else's recipe. I
Mhm.
think you get what they wanted, like
Yeah,
you if you're lucky. So I just that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned in life is that no one's advice is that useful, like at all. Like no one gives good advice because they're just telling
yeah,
you through their prism, and you ain't them.
yeah.
And
I
so
mean, yeah, and the key part to add to that is that they are talking to themselves. Like they're talking to a version of themselves in the sense that um, they're just trying to give themselves advice or give the advice they wish they could have learned for their journey, like you're saying. So
yeah,
the key point of the opinions is just to take it all, like listen to every opinion, but literally you have that ability to filter that shit. Like you take what you want. On a slight tangent, but kind of related. We had the gas man come yesterday, and we was somewhat talking about religion at the very start of our conversation. And my words to him exactly were, "Oh, I'm a Hindu, but I take what I want from my religion in terms of like whatever ideals I kind of fuck with, I'll take." And I think the same thing with this previous conversation. I think you just kind of take the opinions that you want to fuck with, whether it's good or bad for you. You got to be able to filter that shit.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You take them all and you mix it all up into a bag, and then that's what you try out, see what
Yeah,
works. And yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's probably a nice way to tie it up, I think, because that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
nice little conversation, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for setting up your creative presentation and your actual creative act itself. I
No
really
worries,
enjoyed
man.
that,
Yeah, yeah,
and
it was good.
I
It was good.
appreciate you going first because, like I said, it kind of gives me a little bit, makes me a little bit more comfortable doing mine.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's not every day you supply an entire village with a yeast powder. So I'm gonna stop.
Just remember, bro. I'm trying to be like you, the big theater guy, like the big actor. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to be that guy where I'm confident in front of these people. Like right now, I'm like quivering. I after this is off, I just cry in the corner. Like fuck, I did that. Like yeah,
Turn the lights off. No more
yeah.
stimulus, please.
No,
Uh,
but yeah, no. This has been a fantastic conversation. That I've was about to outro, and I completely forgot what the outro is. But let me just try this again. So, guys, this has been the Tears in Amsterdam conversation, the third in a bunch of conversations, and we will see you next time.
take care, man.